Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another UFC preview and predictions. The main event this weekend is Uriah Primetime Hall and Sean Strickland, two top 15 middleweights, will go at it in the Apex this Saturday night. I'm going to be trying a little bit of a different version of these preview and predictions. I'm just going to try to go less on breaking down the previous fights and really like more who I think is going to win the fight and how I think it's going to be done. Might result in a little bit of a shorter video, but just let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. I'm most likely going to go back to the original format for next week for Serial Gun and Derek Lewis over in Houston, Texas, but just going to try this one out for today's video. The first fight though was actually Ryan Benoit and Adashev. I already talked about that fight back in May, so we're going to roll that original video and then we'll get into the full card preview and predictions. And folks, if you are new to the channel though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more UFC here on the channel. Also, we're going to be doing a Bellator preview and predictions tomorrow night. It of course is Patricio Pitbull and AJ McKee in the finals of the Featherweight Grand Prix. You're not going to want to miss that one going out tomorrow night. Yeah, now we've got a flyweight fight. It's Zaruk Adashev and Ryan Benoit. I don't know where to get started on this one either. So Zaruk Adashev's 3-3 in his pro career. He came over from Bellator. He was 2-1 in the UFC, or he's 3-1. The UFC signs him. Tyson Nam knocks him out in 30 seconds. There's that. And then Sumadarji just absolutely destroys him for 3 rounds. And now he's getting Ryan Benoit. Like, he's 3-3. And Ryan Benoit has fought some pretty good opponents in the past. What I can say from Adashev, though, he does have some good power for a 125-pounder. In his last fight in Bellator 232, he did beat Tavon Dice by TKO in the second round. That was on a Douglas Lima and Rory McDonald. That was on the second fight for them. And yeah, he did get a TKO finish in that fight, but he did not look in the Tyson Nam fight, and again, that was 30 seconds, so what you're gonna say? Exactly, right? But the Sumadarji fight, he couldn't get going in that one. And there was a reason why Sumadarji was like a minus 500 favorite in that one. And yeah, I can't really tell you how Zaruk Adashev wins this fight, because Ryan Benoit, say what you want, he is on a 2-fight losing streak, but a lot of people thought that he could have won the Tim Elliott fight, and a lot of people thought he'd beat Altang Ali. Ryan Benoit can finish it on the feet, and like, sometimes he can finish on the ground. He's not great grappling, but Ryan Benoit on the feet is going to absolutely destroy Zaruk Adashev, right? I think Benoit's just, the volume's going to be too much. Ryan Benoit, there's a lot of volume in his fights, and he'll work the body pretty well, and I just don't think Zaruk Adashev is going to be able to keep up with him. So that's troubling if you are Zaruk Adashev. On the ground, I just haven't seen enough of Zaruk Adashev. He's had 6 pro fights, man, and a couple of them, I mean, 3 of them finished in the first round. The Sumadarji fight really just didn't tell us anything, because Sumadarji was pretty dominant in that one. I don't know. I mean, you want to look at the levels of opponents that Adashev fought before the UFC's first Ring of Combat fight, lost to Cody Mooney, who was 1-1 at the time. Then he wins a fight in Bellator against a guy who was 0-1. Then he beats a guy in Bellator who was 0-2. Then the Dice fight, guy's 3-1, sure. Then Nam, then Sumadarji. Just don't know where to gauge this fight. That's Zaruk Adashev. Again, he's 3-3. We're talking about his opponent now, Ryan Benoit. Yeah, I'm taking Ryan Benoit. I don't know what you want me to say. Adashev, I just don't, I haven't seen enough. I haven't seen enough of Zaruk Adashev. I've seen Ryan Benoit fight, and I've seen him fight pretty well against Tim Elliott and against Altang Ali. Hell, he knocked out Akshan Mokhtarian in 2017. I know it was a while ago, and I don't remember much from Mokhtarian, but he was not very good in the UFC. He lost to John Moraga as well. I believe he got cut when all the other flyweights got cut, but Benoit knocks out Mokhtarian in the 3rd round of that fight. And people forget, Ryan Benoit had a very close fight against Brandon Moreno in 2016. He lost the one by split decision. Before that, he got another one by split decision. Then he fought Ben Nguyen, lost the one by Rene Kachok. He beat Sergio Pettis. Yeah, the future title challenger in Bellator, Sergio Pettis. Ryan Benoit beats him. UFC 185, Pettis versus Dos Anjos. Knocks him out in the 2nd round. There is that. Ryan Benoit has fought the best of the best in the octagon in the past. I think Zaruk Adashev's on kind of just a different level and like on a down level. Ryan Benoit's going to win this fight. He's going to win it on the feet. Do I think he's going to get a knockout? Maybe, but I think he's just going to do what Sumadarji basically did to Zaruk Adashev, just control this fight everywhere it goes. I'm going to go with Ryan Benoit to finish, or not finish, I think Ryan Benoit's going to win a decision. Now, he's going to get close to finishing Zaruk Adashev. Don't think he's going to be able to get the job done, but I'm going to go with the Ryan Benoit decision. So our second fight of the evening is going to be Orion Cosce and Philip Rowe. Real quick about the Ryan Benoit-Zaruk Adashev fight. I know Benoit missed weight. They were supposed to fight back in May. I don't think that's going to affect it at all. I think Benoit still wins the fight. So there's that. On to Orion Cosce and Philip Rowe. Interesting fight. That fight, of course, is going to be at welterweight. Orion Cosce coming off that win on the Contender Series over an undefeated fighter in Matt Dixon. He was a big underdog in that fight. Ended up getting the TKO finish late in the 3rd round, 4th Philip Rowe, last fight in the UFC was a loss to Gabe Green on the UFC 258, and before that, won the Contender Series against Leon Shabazian to get into the UFC. So it's going to be Orion Cosce's first ever fight in the UFC, and then for Rowe, it of course is his second fight. Rowe, I mean, I think we talked about this back for the Usman Burns card. Questionable past before going into the UFC. He had not fought a winning record fighter until he beat Leon Shabazian in the Contender when he knocked him out in the third round. For Orion Cosce, I mean, the guys he fought before the UFC weren't great as well. Fought a guy, Daniel McWilliams, who was 18-43 before heading into the Contender as well, but doesn't matter. Both these guys are in the UFC. It should make for a very entertaining fight. Orion Cosce, though, tremendous stand-up game. He's got a really good wrestling background as well. And for Philip Rowe, more of the same. A lot of good submissions that Rowe does possess. In this fight, though, I'm going to go with Orion Cosce. I like Cosce more all around. I think the offensive wrestling could be huge for Orion Cosce in this one, but pretty much, though, it's going to be the stand-up game for Cosce, where I do think he does take the cake in this one. I think Orion Cosce will outstrike Philip Rowe in this fight. I think he keeps his 100% finish rate intact with this one. He's got currently 6 TKOs and 1 submission win. I think Orion Cosce picks up a KO finish in the second round. Should be a banger, though, to start off this card. Next up, we have got Trevin 5-Star Jones and Ronnie Lawrence. Should be a good one here, contested at 135 pounds. Ronnie Lawrence looked good in his last fight against Vince Cachero. It was a weird fight because Cachero comes in. This fight went into the third round, but in the third round, Cachero, I think it looked like it was a leg kick by Ronnie Lawrence, but Cachero falls down, he trips, and then Lawrence just finishes it real quick with ground and pound to finish out the fight, and he won that one 2 minutes into that third round. It was Ronnie Lawrence's first ever fight in the UFC. Before that, he did beat Jose Johnson on the Contender Series, and that's how he punched his ticket into the UFC. And then for Trevin Jones, what a ride it has been so far. Comes in, he gets Timur Valiev. He's a plus 430 underdog. He comes in there, he beats him. Valiev looks really good in the first round. He tires out. Jones KOs him in the second round, but then that fight gets overturned due to the weed. But then, I mean, okay, we've gone over this a million times. Now that would have been a win for Trevin Jones, but Jones comes back. He beats Mario Bautista, UFC 259. He knocks him out in the second round. Really nice uppercut, puts him away. He should be 2-0 in the UFC. Should Trevin Jones, and Ronnie Lawrence is a monster in his own right. Should be a tremendous stand-up fight. And honestly, for Jones, underrated grappling as well. I mean, you look at the Valiev fight. He does take Timur Valiev down at the end of the first round. Do not underestimate the ground game that Trevin Jones does have. Same with Ronnie Lawrence, a very all-around good fighter, but a tremendous striker is Lawrence. I'm going with Trevin Jones to win this fight, though. I like Trevin Jones' cardio in this one as well. I think he can go really deep into fights. Obviously, we did see Lawrence finish a fight in the third round in his last one as well, but I like the striking out of Trevin Jones. We saw him really look really good in the Mario Bautista fight, and same the Timur Valiev fight. I think Jones is on a roll right now. I think if this fight does hit the mat, he might have a slight advantage as well, but on the feet, I like Trevin Jones. I really do. I think he can mix it up with Ronnie Lawrence. I think he puts him away in the second round. Should be another banger, though. I'm going TKO in the second for Trevin 5-Star Jones. So now we've got two strawweights looking to get the fight to the ground. It is Jinyu Frey and Ashley Yoder. Frey coming off her first win in the UFC in her last one. Really relied on that takedown against Gloria De Paula. She got it multiple times, winning that fight, getting her first victory in the UFC after losing to Kay Hansen in her first fight. Got submitted by that armbar and then losing a really bad fight. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad fight, but just got dominated by Loma Lupani on the feet. And then for Ashley Yoder, the Angela Hill fight, I mean, the small moments where she did have success in that fight was via the takedown, given I think she only had 2 of them in that fight, and she only had control for about 30 seconds each takedown. But her last one was a good win over Miranda Granger, showing that she's still, I guess, around in the weight class, we'll say that. Before that, losing to Lavinia Souza and losing to Randa Marcos as well. Not a great loss in Randa Marcos, but it's really who you think has the better grappling in this fight. We saw Jinyu Frey. She was able to execute on those takedowns against Gloria De Paula. We did see she was overwhelmed on the ground against a very good grappler in Kay Hansen earlier on in her career. And for Ashley Yoder, again, she had the limited success she did have in the Angela Hill fight was through the takedown. Can she get against Jinyu Frey? A very good, I would say, a solid grappler in her own right. It's an interesting fight here at 115. Jinyu Frey, of course, the former atomweight champion over there in Invicta. I've said it before, I think the UFC should open up that 105 division. It would benefit fighters such as Jinyu Frey, potentially like Michelle Waterson again, but In this one, I'm going to take Jinyu Frey. I picked her 3 times already in the UFC. I took her to beat Kay Hansen, took her to beat Loma Luke Boni. I took her to take Gloria Paula. We're going to take her again. We're going to take her to beat Ashley Yoder. I think she lands the takedown. I think she gets at least 2 takedowns in that fight, and I think that's really all it takes. Now, we did, in the Ashley Yoder fight against Miranda Granger, that's where she went to as well. Yoder kept going for that takedown. She kept landing it against another okay grappler in Miranda Granger. I think Frey gets the better of her in this one. There's a reason this fight is at even odds. It's really because it could go either way. We will see who the better wrestler in this fight is in the first 2 minutes of this fight. On the feet, I'll be honest, who knows? Like, really, if anyone tells you they have a good read on Ashley Yoder versus Jinyu Frey in a stand-up fight, they do not know what they're talking about. I mean, really, because Frey and Yoder just not the greatest strikers. Two wrestlers though who can get the takedown. We will see what is going to happen, but I got Jinyu Frey getting a decision. I think the winner of this fight though, it's going to be pretty obvious. When the bell rings, you're going to know who's won this fight. I do think that is going to be the case though. I think you're going to see the more dominant wrestler in this fight. I don't see a stand-up fight taking place. I think you're going to see the dominant wrestler pretty early, and whoever that is going to win this fight. I'm going Jinyu Frey 30-27. I would not be shocked at all though if Ashley Yoder gets it 30-27 as well. Now we have got Kamaka III and Danny Chavez. I'll get it out the way. Kamaka won his last fight. The TJ Brown decision was so bad. I thought Kamaka won 3 rounds. He out-grappled TJ Brown. He outstruck TJ Brown. I do not understand that decision. And MMA math will tell you Danny Chavez beat TJ Brown. That means he should beat Kamaka III. Not necessarily now. Danny Chavez is fighting against TJ Brown. He looked very good in that one. Really good stand-up game in that one for Danny Chavez. Kicked the hell out of TJ Brown's legs in that fight. Was a very good fight for Chavez. He turns around, he fights Jared Gordon. Gordon simply just out-grapples him. On the feet, Chavez did look all right, but Jared Gordon really just pushed the pace in that fight. He really just dictated where the fight was going to go in that one. Obviously, Gordon in the ground game worked pretty well against Chavez, and Kamaka's fight before TJ Brown lost to Jonathan Pierce. Got TKO'd in the second round. In his first fight in the UFC, beat Tony Kelly by unanimous decision. UFC 252. Very fun fight. One fight of the night on that card. Kamaka and Chavez, though, should be a good one. I mean, 2 guys who personally I thought beat TJ Brown. Should be a very fun stand-up fight. Kamaka does throw a lot of strikes. Same with Chavez. Chavez, again, throws that really nice leg kick that you did see in the TJ Brown fight. We could see some grappling in this one. Kamaka obviously did take down TJ Brown a couple times in their fight. Now Brown did take him down the 3rd round, I believe it was, and apparently a judge gave him the 3rd round in that fight. I still don't get the scorecards for that, because you got 30-27 for Kamaka, you got 29-28 for TJ Brown, you got another 29-20 for TJ Brown. I don't know how you give that 3rd round for TJ Brown. I don't get it. The first round, sure, but I still thought it went to Kamaka. I don't understand. It was definitely that takedown with about 30 seconds left that they gave the round to TJ Brown. It does not make sense. But in this fight with Kamaka and Chavez, should be good. It should be a fun fight on the feet. It should be a fun fight on the ground as well. And I'm gonna go with Kamaka III to pick up the win in this one. I think he beats Danny Chavez in the feet, and if it does need to go on the ground, I think Kamaka will have a slight advantage as well. So I'm going to go with Kamaka III to beat Danny Chavez. I think he gets it done by decision to improve to 2-2 in the UFC. Should be a fun fight regardless, though. Now at lightweight, we have got Rafa Garcia and Chris Gruetzemacher. Going to start first with Rafa Garcia. I mean, you saw the Nasrat Haqparast fight. Obviously, I mean, what Garcia was looking for in that fight, he was trying to get a takedown. Couldn't really get it, so he just struck with Nasrat Haqparast, and it was a pretty entertaining fight. Haqparast like a -500 favor in that one. Garcia's like a +410. Garcia does a really nice counter right, and he waited on Haqparast in that fight. Obviously, Nasrat did win that one on the feet, but it was a better fight for Rafa Garcia than I anticipated. I really didn't think he was going to do that well in the feet with Haqparast, and given he did lose all 3 rounds in that fight, but he did hold his own in a fight against a very good striker in Nasrat Haqparast, and obviously Garcia is a very good grappler. He's got 7 wins by submission in his career. He's trying to get fights to the mat, and in a stand-up fight against Nasrat Haqparast, you could have done a lot worse. Now, Chris Gruetzemacher's last fight, not great. It's a loss to Alexander Hernandez. He gets KO'd pretty quick in that fight on Halloween in 2020. Hernandez comes in there, he finishes him pretty quickly. It was a fight that did not make sense. They were trying to get Alexander Hernandez a win back. They really were. Gruetzemacher coming off his 2nd win in the promotion. It was a win over a very old Joe Lauzon. And I mean, Joe Lauzon at what? I don't know how old he was in 2018, but it's a very old Joe Lauzon. It's a guy you're supposed to stop. He was 35 years old at the time. Gruetzemacher got him out of there after the 2nd round. And before that, for Gruetzemacher, he loses twice by rear naked choke to Chavez and Davy-Hamos, which is a little bit concerning considering how good of a ground game Rafa Garcia does have. Gruetzemacher also did win his first fight in the UFC back in 2015, but Rafa Garcia coming over from Combate, a lot of big wins by submission. You got armbar finishes, you got heel hook finishes, you got rear naked choke, among others. Went on a big streak of a lot of submissions over there in Combate. I think Rafa Garcia does beat Chris Gruetzemacher here. I think if this fight stays standing, now you probably would give the advantage to Gruetzemacher, but considering Garcia's last fight, I know he did lose 3 rounds to nothing against Nasser at Hacker Pass, but he held his own in that fight through a lot of good counter strikes. He did not just get beat up for 3 rounds in that one. Hacker Pass did take some damage as well, so I wouldn't completely rule out Rafa Garcia getting absolutely blown out the water in a stand-up fight against Gruetzemacher. Now, I would give the slight advantage to Chris Gruetzemacher, but if you look at his last fight, he got finished pretty quickly by Alexander Hernandez. Obviously, though, on the ground, you're going to give the advantage to Rafa Garcia. You saw Gruetzemacher get submitted by Chavez, who's a pretty solid grappler in his own right, and same with Davy-Hamos, a good grappler as well. But you see those back-to-back. You look at Rafa Garcia, who most of his finishes are by submission. This fight has got Rafa Garcia submission finish written all over it. I don't know how big of a favorite he is. He's a minus 250. Get this to a submission. I think Rafa Garcia is going to win this one. I'll say he gets it done in the second round, pick up a lot of second round finishes. Rafa Garcia submission second round, he puts away Chris Gruetzemacher. Now a fight here between 2 Contender Series alums. It's going to be Colin Anglin and Melzik Baghdasaryan. Baghdasaryan, his last fight, won the Contender Series, did not end up getting the contract, but he just signed with the UFC most recently in March. And then for Colin Anglin, he did get the contract. He was supposed to fight Sungwoo Choi back in February. Unfortunately, Anglin could not make that date, and now it's going to be Anglin and Baghdasaryan in the UFC Apex here at featherweight. 2 very good strikers. What I've seen out of Melzik Baghdasaryan, very good kickboxer. He made his MMA debut back in 2014. He took 5 years off of MMA, ended up going fighting kickboxing. He went to K1, won a couple fights over there, obviously in the kickboxing world. And then for Colin Anglin, been fighting professionally in MMA all the way since 2017, most recently fighting in WXC and in LFA, and then of course winning on the Contender Series as well. Should be a very fun fight in the feed. I'm really excited for this one, honestly, because Baghdasaryan looked good in the Contender. He's got a couple, I mean, his fights when he made his return to MMA, his first fight is a 32-second knockout, then it's a 14-second knockout, then a 9-second knockout, then a 7-second knockout. This man has some damn power, and same with Colin Anglin as well. He's got a lot of finishes as well on his record. He's got a 14-second finish over there in LFA. I'm gonna go with Colin Anglin to win. I think he's the more proven fighter out of him and Baghdasaryan. Baghdasaryan, again, former kickboxer, former boxer as well. He comes back, he takes on 5 guys who, let's be honest, weren't all that great over in local promotions. Gladiator Challenge in California, a couple other Lights Out Extreme Fighting, I do believe, is a Burbank promotion in California. Taking on guys who really aren't at his level, and for Colin Anglin, he's fighting a lot better competition. Fought a 20-11 fighter over in LFA. I like Colin Anglin to win this one. Honestly, though, this one could go either way. It should be a banger. It's a fight you should watch out for, though. In the middle of this card, I've got Colin Anglin win this one by decision. It could go either way, but decision win for Colin Anglin. So, it is the return of the former world champion. Yes, it is Nico Montano versus Wu Yanan. For Wu Yanan, has not looked good in her last couple of fights. I mean, the Jocelyn Edwards fight, she just got outclassed. Mizuki Inoue, I thought she lost that fight. Lauren Mueller, she won, okay, but what did Lauren Mueller do in the UFC? Not much, and then she lost to Gina Mazzani, okay. Nico Montano, so I don't think Nico Montano is as bad as people remember. Okay, I know she loses to Juliana Pena. Okay, Juliana Pena is fighting for the World Championship next. That's the thing. Roxanne Modafferi, who Montano beat for the World Championship, is a top 15 flyweight. I wouldn't say top 10, but she's a top 15 flyweight. Montana De La Rosa is a top 15 flyweight. Nico Montano owns a win over her. And oh yeah, she owns a win over Lauren Murphy, who's got to fight for a world championship as well. I don't think Nico Montano is as bad as people think. Now, the Valentina Shevchenko thing happened where they were supposed to fight, 3 times? Montano backed out of all 3 fights, but let's be honest, would you want to fight Valentina Shevchenko as well? If you were Nico Montano, probably not. I know I'm not defending Nico Montano, if it does sound like that, but she would have lost to Valentina Shevchenko. And I think if Montano was still at 125, I do think she would still probably be a top 10 fighter, considering she beat Modafferi, she beat De La Rosa, she beat Lauren Murphy as well. Now, Montano's solid wrestling, and that's where she's going to go in this fight against Wu Yanan. I'll say it right now, I think Nico Montano beats Wu Yanan. I think she does. I don't think too highly of Wu Yanan. I think Montano's wrestling is going to be enough in this one. She does throw a pretty solid left that did connect against Roxanne Modafferi, if I'm not mistaken. did rock Kamaka III in their fight for the World Championship. Now, like, okay, Montano's fighting against Juliana Pena. Don't forget, she did connect a couple times. Pena's eye was all swollen up in that one. Now, did she beat Juliana Pena? Hell no, it was a mismatch. It was Pena's first fight coming back after giving birth, but still, Montano was not horrible in that fight against Wu Yanan. She should be the better wrestler in this one. Striking-wise, I would give a slight advantage to Wu Yanan, but honestly, that's what we thought in the Jocelyn Edwards fight. We thought Wu Yanan would have the advantage striking. Did she? Hell no. Jocelyn Edwards outstruck Wu Yanan. She outgrappled Wu Yanan. I think Montano is the all-around better fighter. Do I think Montano is going to be like a top 15 fighter in this 135-pound weight division? I don't think she's going to be, but she's going to beat Wu Yanan. I don't think Wu Yanan's the greatest. Nico Montano wins this fight by decision. I think she outstrikes Yanan, and if she has to, I think she gets it to the mat. I think she wins the fight down there as well. So, Nico Montano getting her first win since winning the World Championship. So, Mounir Lazzez is back, and we were very high on Mounir Lazzez. And the UFC, I think, was very high on Lazzez as well. He comes in, he's a former UAE Warriors fighter. He's come over from Brave as well. First fight, Abdurakhimov Al-Hassan. Al-Hassan, at the time, was not an easy fight. They put him on the main card. Dan Ige, Calvin Kattar over in Abu Dhabi. Mounir Lazzez outstrikes Abdurakhimov Al-Hassan. We're looking like, oh my goodness, this man's a monster. Now, knowing what we know now about Abdurakhimov Al-Hassan, he goes on, loses to Cass Williams, loses to Jacob Malkoun. Is Razak Al-Hassan gonna get another shot in the UFC? I do not know, but still, Lazzez is coming off that win. He's coming high. They book him in a co-main event spot. On the other Wednesday card, it's Chiesa and Magny back in Fight Island. Warlley Alves. Mounir Lazzez is supposed to beat Warlley Alves. Does he? No. Alves lands a really nice body shot, puts down Lazzez in the first round and finishes them in the co-main in Abu Dhabi. Not a great performance at all from Mounir Lazzez. So you're thinking, okay, is Warlley Alves back? Because, hell, I was impressed by Warlley Alves in that performance. He goes on, he fights Jeremiah Wells. I'm thinking, okay, Alves is going to beat Wells. Wells is an older kind of prospect coming in the UFC. No, Jeremiah Wells knocks out Warlley Alves stiff as a board. So, where are we now with Mounir Lazzez? We still know he's a great striker, even though he did get outstruck by Warlley Alves. And Alves just worked the body really well for those 2 minutes that fight was contested for. But you're taking a guy, Nicholas Stolze, who it's a good matchup for Mounir Lazzez in the striking realm, obviously. But Stolze, we know he's going to try to get the fight to the mat. A lot of submissions on the record for Stolze, a lot of big ones over in Europe, and that's how he's going to try to beat Mounir Lazzez. So for Lazzez, it's a good fight for him in the stand-up department. I mean, Lazzez and Stolze, if they stand kickboxing, Lazzez is going to beat him. But the problem for Lazzez in this one is Stolze is going to try to get this one on the mat. He's going to try to control Lazzez on the ground. He's going to try sinking a submission. He's going to try to control him on the ground. Something to watch out for Lazzez in this one. I think Mounir gets the job done. I think he does. It's going to be his first fight in the UFC Apex. I'm surprised they didn't book him for the Abu Dhabi card later on the Jan Blachowicz versus Shera card, which is going to be on ESPN apparently. That's cool, but I think Mounir Lazzez beats Nicholas Stolze. I think he avoids the takedown. I think he avoids the ground game that Stolze will present against him. I think Lazzez will work the body really well in this one. I think he's going to work up top as well. Abdurakhimov Al-Hassan fight is a masterpiece by Mounir Lazzez. It is a good fight. I think we see more of that against Stolze after he defends the takedowns. I'm going with Mounir Lazzez. I think he gets a finish in this one. I think it's a late round finish. I think he really works on Stolze. Third round TKO for Mounir Lazzez. Next up, banger of a fight. Bryan Barberena will draw Jason Witt here in the welterweight division. It is a very fun fight here. Barberena is back. Jason Witt's coming back after a knockout loss just in March. So we will see what happens in this one. Bryan Barberena coming off that win over Anthony Ivey on the Waterson Hill card. Won that one by unanimous decision. The scorecards on that fight show Barberena winning that one 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28 all. Of course, for Barberena, before that, to lose to Randy Brown in a fun fight, but he did get knocked down in the third round. Vicente Luque was an amazing fight on Ngannou Velasquez in Phoenix, Arizona in February of 2019. He's fought the best of the best. He fought Leon Edwards. He did lose that fight. He beat Jake Ellenberger. He lost to Colby Covington back in Sacramento on Van Zandt and Waterson. Don't get me started on Paige Van Zandt losing a bare knuckle fight to Rachel Ostovich. Don't get me started on that one. Bryan Barberena beat Sage Northcutt all the way back in 2016. He was one of the first guys to beat, no, he was the first guy, to beat Sage Northcutt. Big win over there. He beat Warlley Alves as well, UFC 198. Barberena, tremendous striker, a very fun fighter to watch. It's kill or be killed in there for Bryan Barberena. He's going for the finish. He's going to bring it. If you want to see a fun fight, watch him and Vicente Luque. Absolute banger. And now, that's a little bit concerning for Jason Witt, because you saw the Matthew Semelsberger fight. First strike landed, Semelsberger puts down Jason Witt and knocks him out. Witt's coming on in that one. He's just trying to land a strike, and boom, Semelsberger puts him immediately down. Now, how does Jason Witt win fights? It's via the takedowns. It's via the grappling. He looked very good in the Cole Williams fight. Really worked his takedowns really well in that one, dragged Cole Williams to the ground, eventually got him with the arm triangle choke on that Hall Silva card in October of last year. That was the second fight of the promotion. The first one, it was a knockout loss to Takashi Sato. Lost that one in the first round in 48 seconds on Poirier and Hooker. So both of Witt's losses have been quick knockouts in the first round to Sato and to Semmelsberger, and they're not doing him any favors fighting Brian Barberena, because you know what Barberena is going to do. He's going to rush in there. He is going to try to get Jason Witt the hell out of there. It's a good fight for Brian Barberena considering the past results Jason Witt has had. Now, does Witt have a chance to win this fight? Definitely. If he can drag Barberena to the ground, if he can drag him into deep waters, will Witt have a shot to win this one? Definitely, following kind of the Colby Covington game plan that Colby did have back in December of 2016. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think so. I think Witt's going to get caught coming in, just like how he did in the Semmelsberger fight. I don't think it's going to be as quick as when Witt didn't get knocked out in 16 seconds, but I think we're going to see more of the same. Brian Barberena is going to tag Jason Witt very early in this fight. The aggressive fight style that Barberena does fight is going to go to his advantage, obviously, in this one. I think Barberena is going to tag Witt in the first round. Later in the first round, I think he puts him away. Barberena picks up a first-round knockout to get a 2-fight winning streak now in the UFC. Getting back on track. Again, if Witt has any chance to win this fight, it's gotta be on the ground, but I don't think we see this fight going there. I think Barberena stuffs the takedown, gets a finish. Brian Barberena first-round TKO win. I'm genuinely surprised Sam Alvey's still in the UFC. I am, and don't get me wrong, I like Sam Alvey. If I'm not mistaken, I think I picked him to beat Julian Marquez. We won't talk about that. Yeah, I did. I had him to win that fight. Oh my goodness, but it was a big upset pick. That's all it was. Trust me, but. Sam Alvey, he thought he was going to get cut if he lost to Ryan Spann. He lost that fight. Was it a close fight? Yes. But he thought he was going to get cut after that one if he lost. Then he gets the Dao Jung fight. It's a split draw. Okay. Then he loses to Julian Marquez in a fight where Sam Alvey did not look good in that one. He got outstruck in that one. Marquez eventually locked in that rear naked choke. He put him out. And Smiling Sam is still here. Alvey's chin's gone. It is. He got rocked by Marquez. He kind of got rocked by Ryan Spann, even though I thought Alvey might have won the Ryan Spann fight. It was a fun fight. He lost to Little Nog back in 2018. Lost to Jimmy Crute after that. It's just tough with Sam Alvey. His last win was Jan Vellante. It was a split decision win. Barely won. The Marcin Prachnio fight, I've talked about that fight multiple times. And Marcin Prachnio now. Is Prachnio good again? I mean, hell, he knocked down Mike Villanueva with a body shot, but hey, Sam Alvey TKO'd or KO'd Marcin Prachnio, and I said this before, maybe one of the worst game plans ever out of a UFC fighter. Prachnio comes in there walking with his hands down, just lets Alvey hit him, and Alvey knocks him out. But for Roman Kopylov, coming off that loss against Carl Roberson, that was back in 2019. That was in November of that year. That was on Zabit Magomedsharipov and Calvin Kattar. It was a long time ago when Roman Kopylov last fought. Now, he was coming over from Fight Nights Global. He was the former Fight Nights Global middleweight champion. He defended that championship once, got 2 TKO finishes with the title. They tried to book him against Jotko. Fight never actually happened. He lost to Roberson. Was supposed to fight Eric Spikesley. Fight got canceled. Supposed to fight Tom Breese. That fight got canceled as well. Kopylov could not make it to that eventual day over there in October. Yeah, Kopylov and Alvey. Okay, you're probably going to see a stand-up fight here. I don't think we're going to see this one go to the ground. Kopylov is known for getting his knockouts. Same with Sam Alvey. I always say it when Sam Alvey fights. He's a typical brawler, old-school MMA fighter. He's killer be killed in there, kind of like Brian Barberena, but not as technical as Barberena really is. Alvey's going to go in there. He's going to throw haymakers. He's either going to get a knockout or he's going to get knocked down in his own right, or like in the Julian Marquez fight, he's going to get rocked, and Marquez is going to finish him on the ground with a submission, which if he just threw a couple more punches, he was probably going to end Alvey anyways. But Kopylov, Alvey, someone's probably getting knocked out, and I hate to say it, Sam Alvey's going to get knocked out in this one. I just can't pick Sam Alvey considering he has not won since June of 2018 on Rivera and Moraes when he won a split decision over Jan Vellante. I cannot do it. This man got knocked out by Lil Nog back in 2018. It's not happening. I'm going Roman Kopylov beating Sam Alvey. I hate to say it. It pains me to say, but I think Roman Kopylov wins this one by TKO, and I'm going to say he gets it done in the first round. Oh, I hate to see Sam Alvey lose, but Roman Kopylov wins, and I think that'll do it. They should do it for Sam Alvey in the UFC. If he wins, he stays, but Kopylov first round knockout. Well, if you love grappling, you're going to love this fight. Kyung Hyo Kang and Hani Yahya. Imagine if we get a striking fight. Imagine if we get a Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman between Kang Hyo Kang and Hani Yahya. Imagine if that happened. Now, I think Kang Hyo Kang would probably win that fight, but he's not that great of a striker. And Hani Yahya, I mean, okay, Hani Yahya can't strike for crap, but Hani Yahya's coming off a win. He beat Ray Rodriguez in a good fight where he submitted him with an arm triangle on Edwards and Muhammad. I forget who interviewed him. I think it was DC, but Hani Yahya saying, hey, I think it was DC, because he said, the commentator motivated him to keep fighting. It might have been him or Felder. I'm not sure. Maybe Dominic Cruz, because all the announcers are honestly old, making comebacks. Cruz, Felder kind of did in DC, but or even Bisping really won the title when he was older. But Hani Yahya was saying, "Oh, I was inspired. I'm gonna go on a run towards the end of my career. I'm gonna go out with a bang." Okay, Hani Yahya is what, 36 years old? Yes, he's 36 years old. He's off a 1-fight winning streak, 2-fight unbeaten streak, as the UFC will like to say after he had a draw, but. Honestly, Hani Yahya's looked pretty good, and for Kang Kwang, currently on a 3-fight winning streak, he has looked pretty good in the UFC too. And Kang Kwang, believe it or not, has been fighting the UFC since 2013. Made his UFC debut on Vanderlei Silva versus Brian Stann all the way back in March of 2013. Fought Alex Caceres first. Lost that fight by split decision. But Hani Yahya, I mean, you know what you're going to get out of Hani Yahya. Tremendous grappling. One of the best grapplers you are pretty much ever going to see. The Ray Rodriguez fight was a prime example of that. This man has been fighting under the Zuffa banner in WEC since June of 2007. He made his WEC debut. Just think about that. He made his pro debut back in September of 2002. UFC debut all the way back on UFC Fight for the Troops number 2. Main event of that card was Melvin Gillard TKOing Evan Dunham in the first round. Also, Mark Hominick was on that card. Pat Barry. I mean, just shows you how long Hani Yahya has been around. But Kang Kwang, more of the same. Both these guys, tremendous grapplers. It is really, we will see how good Kang Kwang is. Because if Kang Kwang can really, if he can compete on the ground with Hani Yahya, you're going to see how good of a grappler he is. Because maybe Kang does want to keep this fight standing, considering just the amount of finishes Hani Yahya does have on the ground. 21 submission victories, 0 by KO, 6 by decision. And I can't say it enough. The Ray Rodriguez fight showed Hani Yahya is still in this thing, and he can definitely compete with Kang Kwang. I am very pumped for this one. I think Kang's got a shot really to win this one on the ground. Even though Hani Yahya is a monster down there, I do think he can catch Yahya in a couple transitions. If there's going to be tremendous scrambles on the ground, I cannot wait. You are going to see just an amazing jiu-jitsu fight in this one. And in a jiu-jitsu fight, you can't pick against Hani Yahya. Hani Yahya is going to pick up the victory in this one. Will he submit Kang Kwang? I think he does. I think he submits Kang. Kang's going to be submitted, I think, for the second time in his career. I think Hani Yahya gets the submission win. If you're going to pick Hani Yahya, you're going to pick him in a jiu-jitsu fight. You're going to pick him by submission. I think he out-jiu-jitsu. I think he out-grapples Kang Kwang. Give me Hani Yahya to get the job done. I think he gets a submission win in the 3rd round. I cannot wait for this fight, though. The transitions on the ground are going to be insane. Going Yahya, though, to win this one in the 3rd round. So I don't completely understand the placement of this fight on the card, but here it is. It's going to be Gloria De Paula taking on Cheyenne Bays. Now, in De Paula's last fight, it was against Jinyu Frey. We talked about that fight earlier. Yeah, Jinyu Frey is that far down on the card against Ashley Yoder. I don't know, but Gloria De Paula, she wanted that fight on the feet, and she was winning the exchanges on the feet, the few that did take place. But when it came to the takedown, when it came to grappling, Jinyu Frey outclassed her on the ground. Frey securing those 2 takedowns to win the fight 2-1. And as for Cheyenne Bays in her last fight, well, she just wanted to strike with Montserrat Ruiz. And Montserrat Ruiz put her in a headlock for 15 minutes. Now, in like maybe the 30 seconds that fight was on the feet, you could say Cheyenne Bays was winning some of the exchanges up there. But really, it was a frustrating fight for Bays. And of course, we just saw Montserrat Ruiz get knocked out by Amanda Lemos in her last fight. Well, Lemos is a very good fighter. I didn't like that fight at all for Ruiz. But Bays finally gets to strike with Gloria De Paula, another fighter who's going to welcome the striking that Cheyenne Bays is going to bring in there. It should be a competitive fight on the feet, because honestly, these two fighters, again, had very frustrating first fights in the UFC. De Paula was not happy with the Jinyu Frey fight. She got taken down twice in that one. Really wanted to keep the fight standing. And of course, I mean, Cheyenne Bays, as a fan who picked Cheyenne Bays, maybe one of the most frustrating fights to watch. You see Montserrat Ruiz with that judo throw with the head and arm. She keeps it. She locks it in for the entire round when you know that Cheyenne Bays does have opportunities on the feet, when you know she is the better striker than Montserrat Ruiz, but she just can't get out of that damn headlock. It was a frustrating fight for Cheyenne Bays, trying to come back with a good fight and a good performance here against Gloria De Paula. Both these fighters won in the Contender Series. Both these fighters look very good in the Contender Series, both winning by unanimous decision. Bays looked very good in her fight against Hillary Rose. De Paula won against Pauline Macias back in November of 2020 as well. I'm gonna go with Cheyenne Bays to win this fight. I just like the boxing out of Bays over Gloria De Paula. I think we are gonna see a kickboxing fight in this one. De Paula might throw a lot more kicks in this one than Bays, but Bays really good hands, quick hands with the boxing. Throw a nice jab out there, go with the big overhand right after. I like Bays to beat Gloria De Paula in this one. I think she is going to get the job done. It was just a weird first fight in the UFC for Bays. You run into Montserrat Ruiz, who is not a very good striker, but can really throw that headlock, and it was just a tough first fight for her. I think the Gloria De Paula fight really fits Cheyenne Bays well. She's getting another striker who is going to want to stand there and is going to want to trade with her. I think Bays gets the job done. I think she outstrikes Gloria De Paula. I think she wins it by decision. So for the final two fights on this card, the co-main and the main event of the evening, we're going to go back to the original way that I usually break down fights, talk about both fighters' previous records and all of the fights that they've had in the past. Co-main event is Shamil Abdurakhimov and Chris Daukaus. I talked about this fight last week because it was supposed to be on the Corey Sandhagen TJ Dillashaw card. So the video is from last week. So if I do mention how this fight's in the undercard and I don't understand why it's this low and why Mickey Gall's in the main card, just disregard that. By the way, Mickey Gall somehow beat Jordan Williams. Is Mickey Gall good? I don't know, but yeah, roll that footage and then we'll go into the main event right afterwards. A good heavyweight fight between two heavyweight ranked fighters. And this isn't on the main card? Like, what are we doing? Chris Daukaus and Shamil Abdurakhimov is a fun fight. It is a very good fight. I don't know why this is sitting here on the prelims. I hope it gets bumped up, but as of Sunday night right now, this one's on the undercard. And Mickey Gall's in the main card. We'll get to that one in a minute, but Chris Daukaus, Shamil Abdurakhimov, I'm so excited for this one. We will start first with Chris Daukaus, and now he's been so good in his UFC career. I mean, he has. Parker Porter comes in there, knocks him out, lands a very nice inside shot, and he puts him away in the first round. Then he beats Rodrigo Nascimento, who just beat Alain Baudot, and did Baudot look good in that first round? Yeah, he looked really good against Nascimento, and then just ran out of gas. Nascimento put him away, but Chris Daukaus knocks out Nascimento, then he comes in, he gets a very big fight against Alexei Oleinik. At that time, I thought, okay, maybe a little bit too high of an opponent for Daukaus. No, never mind, comes in there, absolutely destroys Oleinik, throws a big flurry of punches, just puts him away. Curb Jeans just kind of standing there, you want to take more, Alexei? Yeah, Chris Daukaus put that man away. Big 3-fight winning streak to start off his UFC career. And, I mean, the game plan's simple for Chris Daukaus. He's going to try to come in there. He's going to try and knock you out. All three of his wins so far in the UFC have been in the first round. They've all been by KO. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with this guy so far in the UFC. And, hey, in 3 fights, Chris Daukaus is ranked number 10 in the heavyweight division. Up-and-comers, him and Tom Aspinall have been linked for a while as the 2 up-and-coming heavyweights in the UFC. Daukaus and Aspinall, watch out for these 2 guys, but first really big test for Chris Daukaus. Now, I know the Alexei Oleinik was a big test for him as well, and Oleinik was one of those guys at the time who I think was number 10. Daukaus took his ranking, but what we have seen out of Alexei Oleinik since then, you saw it in the Sergey fight. Did not look that good in that one, but here's a fight for Daukaus. He's taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov, who just took on Curtis Blaydes in his last fight, and a guy who owns a win over Marcin Tybura. It is such a big opportunity for Chris Daukaus here, and if he beats Shamil Abdurakhimov, we are looking at potential top 5 opponents for Chris Daukaus. I mean, that's how high we are looking at for Daukaus, because Abdurakhimov, he hasn't fought in 2 years. I think he's number 7 right now, which is ridiculous, but that's where we currently stand at the heavyweight division. I'll talk about really the state of the UFC heavyweight division after I give my official prediction on this fight, but back to Chris Daukaus. Tremendous striker, heavy hands. He's trying to put away in the first round, just like he did to Parker Porter, to Rodrigo Nascimento, and against Alexei Oleinik. He's coming to this fight with a record of 11 wins and 3 losses, but really all that matters is those 3 wins in the UFC. He's perfect so far, 3-0, all of them in the first round. Let's talk about his opponent now, in Shamil Abdurakhimov. So Abdurakhimov, kind of killer be killed in there, really. I mean, it's either he wins by knockout or he kind of gets knocked out. If we're looking at his UFC career, he starts off, he gets knocked out by top 3 Bellator heavyweight in Timothy Johnson, gets KO'd on Mendez versus Ricardo Lamas over in Virginia back in 2015. After that, he turns around, beats Anthony Hamilton by unanimous decision, then beats Walt Harris by split decision, loses to Derek Lewis in a UFC main event in Albany, New York in the 4th round. He gets knocked out by Derek Lewis, turns around, beats Chase Sherman, knocks him out in Shanghai, China, then beats Andrei Arlovsky, the Pitbull, by unanimous decision. Then he beats Marcin Tybura by TKO, and we're looking at a top-ranked opponent for him. We're looking at Curtis Blaydes over there in Abu Dhabi, and Blaydes just beat him up. I mean, take down Blaydes, really nasty elbows on the ground, vicious ground pound by Curtis Blaydes, and we haven't seen Abdurakhimov since. That was in September of 2019. That was Khabib and Poirier, and here comes Shamil Abdurakhimov. He's back in there. Now, I don't completely remember what he was ranked for the Curse Blades fight. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he was like 11. Like, I have to look this up, but I do believe he was somewhere in that 11 range in that fight. Now, he has not fought since, and he is now number 7 in the world. I don't get the UFC rankings. I know Junior Dos Santos is no longer in the division. Okay, Abdurakhimov was 9 going into that Curse Blades fight, so there you go. Just look that one up. So he was 9 going into that fight. He's now 7 after he hasn't fought in 2 years. Now I know what the makeup is in there. I mean, it's Junior Dos Santos no longer in the rankings. It's Alistair Overeem no longer in the rankings. But that just shows you where the UFC heavyweight division is right now. We got a guy in Abdurakhimov who has not fought in 2 years, and he's still making his way up the rankings. It's ridiculous. Now, how does Shamil Abdurakhimov win this fight? He lands a bomb on Chris Daukaus. Someone is probably going out. It's one of those heavyweight fights where someone's most likely getting knocked out. Now, does Shamil Abdurakhimov have the advantage on the ground? Yes, he does. Will he go there? I doubt it. It's the same thing I said with Daukaus and Oleinik. Yeah, Alexei Oleinik, if he gets a hold of Chris Daukaus, is he going to win this fight? Yeah, he probably is. Now, did I pick Alexei Oleinik? Sure, I did, but Daukaus caught him early, and that's what he's got to do to Abdurakhimov as well. But most likely, I think we will see a stand-up fight between Shamil and Chris Daukaus. And in a stand-up fight right now, give me Chris Daukaus all day long. I think he beats Abdurakhimov. Now, why do I think this is going to happen? Chris Daukaus has fought 3 times in the UFC since Shamil Abdurakhimov has fought Curse Blades. He fought twice in 2020. He fought again earlier this year. It's the inactivity for Shamil Abdurakhimov that does concern me. Chris Daukaus has been very active. He's looked very good in his last couple fights. I'm going Chris Daukaus. I think he knocks out Shamil Abdurakhimov in the first round. I think he gets 4 fights in the UFC, 4 finishes in the first round. And you know what? Put a hype train on Chris Daukaus. I think this is the start of one. If he beats Abdurakhimov, this is a big fight for him. He jumps up to number 7 in the rankings. And with the win over Chris Daukaus, you're looking at either Marcin Tybura or you're looking at Alexander Volkov for Daukaus. I'm just telling you, this man is making his way up the rankings. Him and Tom Aspinall, watch out, because Daukaus is a monster. If he puts away Abdurakhimov, which I think he will, you're only looking at either Tybura's 8 or you're looking at the top 5, Volkov and on. I'm pumped for this one. I think Daukaus gets it done. It's a shame this isn't the co-main event, but we're going with Chris Daukaus to knock out Shamil Abdurakhimov in the first round. And yeah, I go on to talk about how you should watch this card early to see this fight, and it's a shame it's not the co-main event. It is now the co-main event. Very excited. Prediction stays the exact same. Chris Daukaus, I think, now rises into the heavyweight elite as we now move to the main event of the evening. So it is time. It is time for the main event of the evening. We have got the number 8 ranked Uriah Hall taking on the number 11 ranked in Sean Strickland. Here we go. Who is going to rise into the middleweight elite in this main event? We will start first here with Sean Strickland. In his first main event spot, he's coming off a very big 4-fight winning streak, 3 wins since his return. We will start the Krzysztof Jotko fight. In a very impressive performance by Sean Strickland. In that fight, Strickland dominates Krzysztof Jotko, controlling that fight from pillar to post, winning at 30-27 on 2 judges' scorecards. One judge had it 29-28 for Sean Strickland. It was pretty obvious that Strickland won that fight. Before that, he TKO'd Brendan Allen, and now Brendan Allen most recently coming off a big win over Punahele Soriano. And hey, I didn't do that well last week on the predictions, but I got Brendan Allen to beat Punahele Soriano correct. And don't get me started on that card. That card definitely could have gone, I mean, my predictions could have gone a very different way if Miranda Maverick gets her decision, if the Kyler Phillips fight's a draw, which it should have been, and if Sandhagen beats Dillashaw. I'll keep it real with you. I thought Dillashaw beat Sandhagen in that fight. Might be in the minority in that one, but I thought TJ did enough to win the fight, even though I did pick Corey Sandhagen to win. But back to Sean Strickland. He beats Brendan Allen. Now, Brendan Allen, after he beat Punahele Soriano, in the post-fight interviews, he's saying, there's one guy I want. I mean, he called out Edmund Shabazian too, but he wanted Sean Strickland. He wanted the rematch of that fight. Brendan Allen thought that Uriah Hall was going to win on this Saturday, so we will see. But Allen wants the Strickland fight back. He said that Allen said himself that was his worst performance. That was Strickland's best. We will see if they ever fight again. But Sean Strickland looked very good in the Brendan Allen fight. Kept the fight on the feet. Ended up knocking out Brendan Allen in the second round. And hey, Brendan Allen went out there, outstruck Punahele Soriano. No one's going to question that man's stand-up after that fight as well. And it just really shows you how damn good Sean Strickland really is. Before that, for Strickland, he beats Jack Marshman. That's on a Uriah Hall headline card over October of 2020. Hall Silva, unanimous decision win for Sean Strickland. Marshman missed weight going to that fight by 1.5 pounds. Final scorecards on that fight, of course, they all went to the winner in Sean Strickland. You have got 30-27s across the board. Another dominant performance for Strickland. And the other fight in the 4-5 winning streak, it's a win over Nordin Taleb. TKO'd him in the second round in New Brunswick, Canada on the Vulcan and Smith card. TKO'd him in the second round. Now that was before those, of course, the biggest news that happened out of the Sean Strickland camp, really. In December 2018, he was hit by a car while riding his motorcycle, which, I mean, it set him back a big spot in his career, but came back 2 years later, beat Marshman. It was almost 2 years to the date of the Nordin Taleb fight, but it was in December 2018 where he did get into the motorcycle accident. Thankfully, he is now back and at 100%, and now Sean Strickland is looking better than he really ever has so far in his career. He comes into the UFC off of King of the Cage. He was the King of the Cage middleweight champion, defended that for like 2 years straight. Comes in, UFC 171. He beat Bubba McDaniel in the first round. He submits McDaniel with the rear naked choke. Yeah, that was on Hendricks Lawler 1, and then after that, he picks up a win against Luke Barnett on the Mark Munoz versus Gegard Mousasi card in Germany. Loses to Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's his first loss. His second loss is to Kamaru Usman, the future champion, the current champion now. And then the third loss, he gets spinning wheel kicked by Lizio Zaleski dos Santos. Dos Santos is going to throw those weird strikes. That was 5 fights to go for Sean Strickland. He gets KO'd in the first round. UFC 224 at Nunez Pennington over in Rio de Janeiro. Sean Strickland, though, coming back here, he looked very good in the Jotko fight. Tremendous striking. The Brendan Allen fight, I think, is his most impressive performance to date, considering the role Brendan Allen's on right now, beating Carl Roberson, beating Punahele Soriano, an undefeated fighter in Punahele Soriano. Strickland comes in there, knocks out Brendan Allen in the second round, a guy with so much hype around him, and still, Allen does still have all that hype. Strickland now finally in the top 10 or top 15. He is on the edge of the top 10, currently ranked number 11 in the world. Coming to this fight with the record of 23 wins, and 3 losses. Obviously, Strickland will throw a lot of volume on the feet. He's going to be aggressive in this fight against Uriah Hall, and against a guy in Uriah Hall who we've seen in the past, very patient in his fight, maybe too patient to the point where he's not throwing enough strikes to win a fight. Strickland is going to bring it to Uriah Hall. We will see the counter-striking of Uriah Hall in this fight. We will see if Uriah Hall can counter Sean Strickland, because Strickland will bring the aggression. Can Uriah Hall respond, though? We will now talk about Uriah Hall. His last fight, the weirdest fight you are ever going to see. It's the Chris Weidman fight. I thought Weidman was going to beat Uriah Hall. Obviously, that did not happen. First strike thrown. Chris Weidman throws that leg kick. It sounded really nice. And then, yeah, he gets Anderson Silva. His leg completely snaps in half. Absolutely disgusting. Uriah Hall, the first fighter in UFC history to win a fight without throwing a single strike. And I don't really want to bring it up, but just saying, Chris Weidman beat Anderson Silva after Anderson Silva snapped his leg. I know it's not going to happen to Uriah Hall. Let's not even throw that out there. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I'll say right now, Uriah Hall throws a lot of leg kicks. It's a big part of his game. He's going to throw leg kicks. You will see him repeatedly try to kick out the leg of Sean Strickland. When Uriah Hall is not throwing strikes, when there's points in the fight where Hall is very patient, he's just waiting, he's still going to throw his leg kicks. He's always going to throw those inside check leg kicks. He's always going to throw them. So, and that's a big part of Uriah Hall's game. Obviously, tremendous kickboxer. He's always going to throw them out there. So, his leg's not going to snap in half, though, because Uriah Hall has said in most recent interviews, that's his way of checking leg kicks. It's a way that he's broken a couple of his teammates' legs in the past, too, about how he checks it, and he's got the timing down. Unfortunately, it just happened to Chris Weidman, but Paul, before that, the Anderson Silva fight, now, was it a tremendous fight? No, it wasn't. The first rounds weren't great. You can make the case Anderson Silva maybe was winning that fight, and hey, Anderson Silva's now going to fight Logan Paul. He's the underdog somehow. I don't know how, even though he just beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but that's all right. Hall in that Anderson Silva fight looks very good in the third round. It took him a while. It always takes Uriah Hall it always takes him a while to get going. And that's where I do think a 5-round fight does favor Uriah Hall, because he's been in this spot before. This is going to be, I believe, his third main event. Yeah, because he had the fight against Moussaoui in the rematch. It gets him 5 rounds to really get going. Sometimes this will happen to Uriah Hall. He'll take the first 2 rounds off. He'll come back in the third, fourth, fifth, and he'll really close the fight really well. And I know he didn't get to the 5th round against Anderson Silva, but you knew that's where that fight was going to go. Hall was going to get going towards the later rounds of that fight. I know the Gegard fight, he did lose in the first round, but in that Anderson Silva fight, he waited for the first couple rounds, eventually got going in the third, got going in the fourth, and again, if it went to a 5th round, it was going to be more domination by Uriah Hall, and that's going to be something that we're going to see. Can he connect against Sean Strickland, a guy in Sean Strickland who has never gone 5 rounds in his entire career. Actually, no, excuse me, he has gone 5 rounds once back in King of the Cage, back when he defended the championship in July of 2013 in Manila. So he has gone 5 rounds just once, but again, that was 8 years ago now. Uriah Hall has been in 5-round fights twice in his career. Uriah Hall beats Anderson Silva. The Antonio Carlos Jr. fight's a very close fight. In the Bevon Lewis fight, you could say he was down 2 rounds in the Bevon Lewis fight. And he comes back in the 3rd round. He knocks Bevon Lewis out. And then before that, you got the loss to Cosce, you got the win over Jotko, you got the loss over Musasi, loss to Brunson, loss to Whitaker, win over Gegard. You got his debut in the UFC, lose to Gaslam, lose to John Howard, beats Chris Liebman, beats Santos. The rest is history. So Uriah Hall coming to this fight with a record of 17 wins and 9 losses. When Uriah Hall is on, he is a monster. The kickboxing is absolutely tremendous. The spinning stuff that he throws sometimes is absolutely insane. You saw the viral knockout, one of the greatest knockouts ever over Bubba McDaniel. Adam Cella. He knocked out Bubba McDaniel later, but when he knocked out Adam Cella with the spinning hook kick, oh my goodness, in the Ultimate Fighter, insane. Uriah Hall is 36 years old. Time is running out. Uriah Hall has been seen as basically the future for a very long time. He was supposed to be the guy to beat Anderson. He was supposed to be the guy to beat Anderson Silva back a long time ago. Hey, Chael Sonnen said you're a contender after he won, I believe his 3rd fight in the Ultimate Fighter. He's a contender for the belt right now. Obviously, that did not happen. We've been waiting on Uriah Hall for so damn long. Do I think he beats Sean Strickland in a main event? I think he does. I think he beats Sean Strickland. Strickland is going to bring it for the first 2 rounds. I think he's going to. I think Strickland might win the first rounds. But eventually, Hall is going to catch his timing. And I think eventually Uriah Hall is going to keep counter-punching Sean Strickland. And I think he's going to put him away with the late TKO. Yeah, I think Uriah Hall is going to get a finish in this one. It always takes Uriah Hall a while to get going. And is it a boring fight style? Maybe. But you know, with any little second, any moment of the fight, Uriah Hall can strike. And he can end a fight with 1 punch, 1 kick, 1 knee, anything. He's got so many different ways to win a fight on the feet. This will be a stand-up fight between him and Strickland, and I think he's going to catch Sean Strickland eventually in the 5th round. I think he gets a late knockout. I think we get in the 5th round. I think this fight's tied 2 rounds to 2. Strickland wins the first 2. Hall wins the second 2. I think Uriah Hall eventually puts away Sean Strickland in the 5th round with a knockout. I think he finally counters him. And I think it's going to take Hall some time to get his timing down. But I think eventually when he does time up Strickland, I think he's going to win this one. So I'm going with the Uriah Hall 5th round knockout. I think he improves to a record of 18-9, a 5-fight winning streak now for Uriah Hall, moving him to probably number 7 or even 6 in the weight class. I don't know what's next for him. Give him maybe Marvin Vettori. I don't know. It's an interesting fight. Vettori would probably win, but who knows? Maybe give him Vettori with the win. Maybe even Jack Hermanson. We will just have to wait and see. He's most likely going to have to go through a grappler, though, in his next fight. So, folks, thank y'all for watching this UFC preview and predictions here on the channel between Uriah Hall and Sean Strickland. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We do one of these every single week. Just let me know how you like this format of the video. Of course, the last 2 fights were like how we usually do the breakdowns. In the middle of the card, though, tried something different. We will probably go back to the original style, though, next week for Lewis and Gane in Houston, Texas. Be on the lookout again tomorrow for Bellator predictions. They are in the Forum on Saturday night, going head-to-head with UFC. I cannot wait. Maybe the biggest fight, the greatest fight in Bellator history. Patricio Pitbull, AJ McKee for the featherweight title. Oh my goodness, am I pumped for that fight. So be on the lookout for that video tomorrow. Again, folks, thank you for watching this UFC video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.